Hey, everybody, are you afraid of starting your own business? Are you afraid of talking to the woman in your life? Are you afraid of failing? If that's the case, I want to invite you to listen to renovatingrichesradio.com, especially on this episode. We're going to talk about fear and how people actually get paralyzed and not move forward, and how you could overcome some of those fears. So tune in, hit subscribe, share, and like, and I want you to be not fearful or unfearful. Yeah, I want you to be fearless. So, renovatingrichesradio.com. Be fearless. Hey, everyone. Renovatingrichesradio.com. That's the website you want to go to and check it out.
Subscribe.
Hit like, share, call your grandma, your grandpa, your friends, everybody.
Your neighbor. You forgot about a neighbor. They always wants to know what you're doing.
Yeah, if they want to keep with the Jonases and they want to know what you're up to, let them know about renovatingrichesradio.com.
No, seriously, guys. I mean, we need your support, right? So we do this for free. We don't charge you. We
don't get any sponsors either.
No.
So
you don't see Coca-Cola advertising here.
Right. I mean, it's strictly like Dennis is saying.
We need your support. We need you to share. We need you to like, comment. If you're on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, make sure you leave a review. It's a 5-star review. We're only taking 5-star reviews. The 4 and 3s.
At this moment, we
yet.
only get 5. Okay. If you are thinking about doing anything less than that, then you can go look at something else. But basically today we're gonna talk about fear. And
fear. That four-letter word.
Four-letter word that holds people back.
So,
what do you think about fear, Dennis?
I think it's natural for people to feel fearful, especially depending on what we're talking about entrepreneurship, right? And taking the step to
But let's talk about fear in general. Yeah, like I don't know, jumping off a cliff or jumping in the pool or getting in the middle of the ocean and jumping and going into the unknown, right? Or maybe fear that you're gonna get laid off or fired or whatever. So why don't we talk about fear in general, and then we can tailor it to what we like.
I'm just gonna speak out of what comes out of my mind. Fear. I think there's two kinds of fear, like the real fears that need to be taken care of by a professional, like a psychologist or psychiatrist. There's people that have true like phobias and fears of enclosed spaces,
roaches, and
stuff like that. And I think that's more like medical grounds. You need to look for a professional, therapist or doctor that can help you with those fears. But then I also think that there's the other fears that you can work on your own, and it's more like auto-created fears. If that's even, I don't know, maybe
self-created, I would call it.
Yeah. And those are the ones that I think you can focus on. You can learn how to dominate your mind and in your thinking, so those fears don't keep crippling you. Because that's the reality. Fear cripples you. It holds you back. It doesn't allow you to do many things. So depending on what fear you're talking about,
it paralyzes
exactly.
you.
Yeah, depending on what fear you're talking about. If it's the medical type, then go by all means find help. Like if you're scared of snakes or stuff like that, and it keeps you from working outdoors, for example. If you're someone like I don't know, a construction worker that needs to be out, and they tell you there's a possibility of being snakes where you're going to be working at, and that cripples you and doesn't allow you to earn a living, then by all means go and seek help. And I know therapists have ways of working with that, so you start overcoming that fear. Same with enclosed spaces, fear of heights. I mean, those type of fears have, a solution by going to a professional. Now, if your fear is more like, I think what we're going to talk about, fear of losing your job, or fear of not providing enough income for your family, or fear of the unknown, if you're about to get into like your own business or stuff like that. Well, those fears you can work on yourself, or I guess if you want to go through a professional, maybe they can help you too. But in general, those are fears that you can overcome by doing, reading, learning, talking to other people that have done it, searching for help. So, what do you think about fear, Mr. Ricardo?
I think fear is something that we learn, regardless of what fear. And I like the way you put it out, where there is fear that you have to clinically or
Medically.
medically, treat, um, and then there is fear that you kind of like self-inflicted, and both are self-inflicted, by the way, because you have to learn it. You have to learn fear at some point.
Yeah,
Uh,
something happened where.
fear is something you learn. You're not born with it. Like when you're a baby, you don't know. You just go and do stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you go and play with fire, and then you put your hand on the fire. Oh my God, I know this is I shouldn't. And then you're like, I cannot touch that fire because I know if I put my hand on it, it's gonna burn me.
Mm-hmm.
And or fear of maybe when you're a little kid and somebody left you alone and now you're looking for your parents and you can't see them, and then you start crying,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you develop that fear of being loneliness. Also, fear of talking to strangers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because when we were kids, we were told not to talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers because they could be bad people. Well, what if they were good people? Right? So that's why a lot of people don't like talking to strangers, because they were taught as a child that you shouldn't be talking to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of maybe losing their job. Why is that? Because maybe you lost the job when you were young, or you saw your parents losing their jobs, and you know everything that created for you and your family. So to me, fear is something that you actually learn, and you can learn it from a very young age. Um, it could be that
So if it was learned, it can be de-learned or
it can be
deprogrammed.
unlearned or reprogrammed, and today I'm really not afraid of much. To be honest with you, not that I am unfearful. Of course, I'm not gonna go and jump off a building to figure out, how the how they
I
how I'm
don't.
gonna hit the ground, right?
I'm not
Uh,
fear.
you know,
I'm
and
not fear of heights. Let me
one
jump.
thing is not being stupid, and another thing is, taking the leap of faith. Well, maybe if I get a parachute, I can jump off the building if I'm trained on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Will I be afraid of doing it? Absolutely. It's the unknown. I've never done it. What if the parachute doesn't open? Or what if a wind comes in, picks me up, and slams me against the wall? There's all these variables when it comes to being afraid of doing something. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about fear today with Dennis is because in the past few weeks, and I'm not gonna mention any names or anything like that, but in the past few weeks, I've come in contact with people they're just afraid, and they're afraid of what if this property doesn't appraise, or what if the property that, and I'm talking about more about real estate than anything else, because that's what we do.
Yeah, it's our daily activity. Revolves around real estate. So.
Right. What if after I get done with the rehab, then the buyer doesn't like the job I did, and so all these fears they just keep people from achieving what they need to achieve, that they wanted to. They wanted to achieve something. Let's say somebody went and bought a house, and next thing you know, they said, okay, how should I paint the walls? Should I do gray? Should I do white? Should I put hardwood? Should I put
Tile.
tile? Should I put laminate, or whatever the case might be? And then you go and you say, look, man, I think you can do laminate will be just fine in this property, because the property value is gonna be X regardless of what you put in it. And they go, you know what? I'm just gonna go do hardwoods because I'm gonna spend the extra money just to make sure.
Yeah, but it's that fear or is that just a person that cannot make decisions?
Well, that's what fear will do to you. They won't allow you to make decisions.
Oh, okay. I see
Fear
your
will
point.
paralyze you, and you get into analysis paralysis, because now you got your fear. You got, man, what if I fix this house, and then
Yeah, I see your point.
and then I get slapped with not having the mold remediation certificate. Oh, I can't sell the house now. So you know what? I better not touch it. I better not deal with this issue. And at the end of the day, everything is a learning process. So as long as you can mitigate those worries or fears, you should be fine. How do you do that? You go and number one, you seek, you seek help from people that are already doing it. So if you want to flip a house and you want to buy it, fix it up, and then put it on the market, go talk to another flipper that's doing it. Don't go talk to somebody that's never done a flip in their entire life. They don't know the process.
Yeah, you go to like a coworker and ask them,
Yeah.
hey, what do you think about this? I mean, someone that hasn't and never ever done it, and for some reason you're gonna go and expect that person to tell you what you want to hear or what you don't want to hear. I mean, it's kind of like defeats the whole purpose of.
Yeah, well, you're looking for validation where you shouldn't be looking, because these people, they can't guide you in the right direction. Also, make sure that the person that's giving you some direction, it's already done it, or is doing it. That way, you can navigate through those waters with a captain that has already sailed with a boat through those waters. So it's one of those things to where I see it over and over again. Other people like getting into wholesaling. We talked about wholesaling in one of our previous podcasts. We did it in Spanish. We didn't do it in English. But where should I market? What list should I buy?
What if I spend the money and I don't get any calls?
What that is so the okay. So what kind of budget should I do? Okay, well, what's your budget? I can't tell you what you're gonna spend. My needs are completely different than yours. My budget is not gonna fit you, or it might be a lot more than you can handle. So why don't you tell us
What do you feel comfortable?
what do you feel comfortable doing? Well, you know what? I feel comfortable doing $300 a month. Perfect. There, you got now a start. Now, what list that you want to work with those $300? That's a different story. Do you want to go in the city, or you want to go outside of the city, or do you want to do a pre-foreclosure list, or you want to do a probate, or all of these things. But don't let fear stop you from doing the things that you need to be doing in order to improve your life.
Or, on the other hand, if you think that fear is going to dominate your life, then don't go into like a business endeavor and just stay and do it where you feel comfortable.
Go get a job.
Until you can control that fear, until you can dominate it, until you can work with the stress that brings by doing.
The issue with the fear is believing in themselves. They don't believe they can do it. And that's why they seek for either validation from somebody else, or they seek for guidance, which if they're seeking for guidance, it's fine. But if you're seeking for validation, then that's really more like ego, internally, like, oh, I want to let everybody know what I'm doing, and they're going to applaud before I do it.
Or I need everybody to applaud and tell me I can do it before I can actually go out and try it and do it for myself.
And one of the things that I would encourage any entrepreneur that is either getting in business or is going through tough times or want to try new things is just to go do it. Do it, regardless of what anybody thinks.
It's like the Nike slogan: "Just do it."
Just do it. But what if I lose money? Okay, so if you lose money, so what?
It's a learning experience.
You're gonna pay for education one way or another. So, what if I buy the house and then the house doesn't appraise? Okay, rent it out and then go see how you can refinance it or sell it, rent it to somebody. There are always ways for you to mitigate any challenges that are coming your way. So do not let fear stop you doing from what you need to be doing in order to either grow yourself, grow your business, provide for your family, and be the person you want to be.
Yep. And I think that sums it up. But the important thing is that, if you want to achieve great things in life, it comes with,
with a
risk that you need to take, that you need to learn how to take that risk. And that's the only thing that's going to let you grow.
And also, you got to be prepared for rough times, because rough times will come your way one point or another one. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, rough times will come. It's just a matter of how you handle the rough times. If rough times come and you're not prepared, you're going to fail, because that's when you're going to face adversity.
Hmm.
And when you face adversity, you're gonna go into analysis paralysis again, trying to analyze what you're doing, and next thing you know, you quit, and you either go bankrupt or you just leave the business as is or whatever the case might. And so when those things come up, then what you gotta do is you gotta not be fearful. Number one. Number two, you gotta become very resourceful. So go find any other alternatives of getting you out of that bind or whatever the case might be. But don't let the rough times keep you away from starting your business or from starting to do what you want to do in life. It doesn't have to be real estate. It could be, I don't know, becoming a
Business owner or
a
whatever.
chiropractor. Oh, what if I break somebody's bones? Okay, go to school and learn how to not to break people's bones. Okay, go get educated, become a doctor, become whatever it is that you want to do. Don't let the what ifs stop you from doing it. So for entrepreneurs, which we are, it's fairly simple and it's fairly similar. What you want to do is you want to educate yourself first. Learn what it is that you're about to get into, whether it is real estate or whether it is that you're going to open a pizza restaurant or whatever the case might be. Learn the trade. Educate yourself. Now, don't stop at I need to learn it all before I get started.
At some point, you gotta take action. You gotta take that first step.
You gotta go.
Otherwise, you're gonna be learning all your life and never ever achieve anything.
I've seen this over and over again. People that are constantly learning, they go from networking event to networking event to networking event to YouTube channels to reading books because they gotta figure it all out. That way, they don't. The risk is minimized to nothing, and that's not. I mean, you'll never.
It'll never happen.
It will never happen. There is always going to be a risk. There's going to be a risk of a storm like we had last year. People that were buying houses to flip, and next thing you know, now Harvey hits, and where are the contractors? They're gone because they're all working on flooded houses, right? So, if we would have known that was happening, I would have never bought so many houses like I did before that and get on a bind after a few months when you don't have contractors, right? But at the end of the day, you got to become resourceful. So you can sell some houses as is. You can find other contractors. You can find other ways to making money, which is now you're going to have an opportunity to go pick up some flooded houses and wholesale them to make up for your losses. And then, you can start doing demolitions. There's all the things that you can start doing in order to mitigate the what ifs. What if this happens? Okay.
Yeah, but the important thing is that life happens, right? So things are gonna go, a certain way that you were not expecting. So it doesn't matter how much planning, how much learning, how much education you do up front. At some point, you have to take action. You have to take that first step because if not, you're gonna stay your entire life learning and trying to figure it out and make the perfect plan, which never works.
Yeah.
You can have, a Harvard bachelor's degree or master's in business planning, and you're gonna plan the perfect, blueprint for a business. And guess what? The day you open the door, something that's not in that plan is gonna happen, and it's gonna throw you back. So either you learn it or you learn it. Period. I mean, there's no way around it.
So our message is: don't be fearful. If you are fearful, there are ways that you can undo that wiring on your brain that makes you fearful. Number one, you need to be reading self educational books or self motivational books on how to rewire your brain.
How to deal with the stress of daily life, the stress of owning a business, how to deal with the stress of making decisions. Because for some people, that's crippling. They can't. I mean, you give them two choices of like Ricardo was saying, paint color, and they go and say, oh, let me Google it for like a week, and I'll come back and tell you what color we're gonna paint this. I mean, just pick a color, make a decision, and be open to learning. If that wasn't the color that was right, okay, then you learn. Next time, you know better.
Next time, you're not gonna paint the house pink, okay?
But you can't spend all your life trying to figure out the perfect plan. Just go out and do it. Take action.
What other ways do you have to to rewire your brain, Dennis?
Well, meetings and networking with people, going to events where like I don't know, go to Tony Robbins events or some
Oh, that's a good one.
conferences.
Going to conferences, going to seminars. I like Tony Robbins. The 10x conference that we attended this year. I'm pretty sure we're gonna go next year again. There are another ways to is listening to podcasts like this one, where you're gonna learn from other people what they're doing in order to mitigate the risk and to take action and to not be fearful.
And
Uh,
you know what? When you learn that pretty much everyone goes through the same things, that it's part of growing a business. In this case, what we're talking about, you all of a sudden feel that weight get off your shoulders because you're like, oh, okay, so this is not me. It's not that I'm doing it wrong. It's just that it's part of the learning process. Everybody goes through the same period in their lives or their business life. So you just have to ride along, the how do you say, go along with the ride, and eventually, everything it's temporary. It's not gonna be permanent, or unless you're an idiot, I guess.
no, the only way bad things become or
Permanent.
turn permanent in your life is that if you don't do anything about it and you stop there, you're like, oh, I hit a wall and this is where I'm stopping right in front of the wall, and that's when, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, failure comes when you quit.
When
As
you
long
quit.
as you don't quit and you keep figuring out, keep working,
If
keep
you
doing
keep
good.
moving, and look, we've failed a lot. Okay, I can count. I mean, failure after failure after failure after failure after failure, and we just found another way of how not to do it, or we just found a way on how not to do a certain marketing campaign, or we have found a way of how not to open a new market. Now we know better. It comes with experience. The only way you can grow the experience is by taking action and not being afraid of making mistakes. Do you want to mitigate the mistakes? Absolutely. You want to prepare as much as you can. That way, you're not, you're not becoming a permanent failure, to where you fail over and over again. But we might be failing at one point here, but we might be succeeding at another point here.
Yeah, and you got to learn from those experiences. If you repeat it over and over, then there's something wrong. But as long as you move on and you say, okay, I learned this, I learned my lesson, I'm not gonna do it ever again. Let's move on. Let's try this other thing, and you keep moving forward. Baby steps. But the moment you quit is the moment you
I believe
fail.
I believe that the more you fail, the more you succeed.
It's intrinsic. It's part of it.
It's like I've done network marketing in the past, and um, it used to sound weird to me when my mentors will tell me, "So Ricardo, every time you get a no, you're getting closer to a yes."
Yes.
But those no's are failures, right? Because you couldn't get that person to either join you on the vision or the business or whatever the case might
Or
be.
buy your product.
And it's that rejection. You're like, oh man, how come they can't see what I can see? And it's just part of it. So, and then you get the one that you never thought was gonna do it with you, and next thing you know, you guys are building a large network. But it's kind of like that. So you go through failures, and then boom, you get a big win. And now you need to continue to doing this. That way you can continue to win. And then you're gonna fail at other things, and then you win. So don't let fear stop you from, number one, failing and succeeding, because the only way you can get to success is to go through failure. Otherwise, you'll never appreciate what success is like.
Mm-hmm.
I have never met somebody that's successful that never failed. I don't think that exists.
I doubt it. And I mean, there might be an exception out there, but the reality
No,
is
there's
that
no look. Let's talk about the president of this country real quick. He was born in a rich family. Okay, so he was already in a rich environment. So you could say that he was born with the silver spoon.
definitely.
He had all the money. His dad was a developer. And then what happened with him? He failed a bunch of times. I mean, this man found ways to fail over and over and over and over again, to the point to where he bankrupt like three different. He bankrupt an airline. He bankrupt the casino that he built in
Atlantic
in
City.
Atlantic City. He bankrupted other businesses, but at the same time, he was getting wins in other areas, which he was building other buildings. He was licensing his name to other developers around the world. So did those failures keep him away from succeeding in other areas? No. He got to the point where now he became the president of the United States. You know, so if he can do it, he was born with a silver spoon. Then he went and failed and got back on it. You know, what's the difference? You know, so in my point of view, everybody that's behind, the fence on taking action to either, starting your business, just go do it. Open the LLC. It's in some states it's like $100. In the state of Texas, it's a little bit more expensive, but go think about the name, think about the branding. What kind of branding do you want to give it? Do you want it to be a personal thing, or do you want it to be something that you can grow in other states or other countries? Just think about that, but go do it. Don't. Dennis, I can't open my business because I haven't figured out my logo yet.
Or the name.
The name.
I've been thinking about a good name for the past 3 months, and it's like, really?
Really? You know how Dennis and I come up with names? We drink beer.
And we start reading behind the beer, the ingredients, and somehow we come up with
come up with names so fast when we drink beer. It's not even funny. We come up with website, addresses like domains. What would you call this? Oh, let's go, boom, and that's it. We take action. We think about it. We take action. We get it. We might not do anything with it for a little while. At some point, we start doing stuff with it. So don't let the logo, the name hold you back. Just name it your name or whatever, but take action and start operating. Then the next thing you do is, okay, what am I going to sell? What service I'm going to provide? Think about that. Don't get too stuck on it. If you like, selling shoes, then think about the brand of shoes that you want to sell. Or if you're going to become a manufacturer, then how do you become a manufacturer of shoes? I met a guy that actually his girlfriend was a designer for shoes, and she took action, man. She went and she thought about the name, did it. She went and thought about the branding, did it. Then she's like, okay, I want to manufacture shoes, and I had no clue that one of the countries that is the biggest manufacturer in the world is Mexico.
Yep.
So she went to Mexico and met with all the different factories. She gave them the designs, and boom. That's how her brand was started, right?
There you go.
And she had no
previous exposure to shoemaking.
Nothing to shoemaking. She just knew how to design them, or she thought she did. I haven't checked up on them, so I don't know how they're doing, but that's how her business took shape. And she didn't get hold up on the name and the brand and this, and she started figuring out one thing at a time, and then she put it all together, and now she's probably selling a lot of shoes all over the place. So don't let those things, hold you back. Take action. Don't be afraid to fail. We all fail at something. Some of us fail bigger than other ones, and that's okay. It's part of life. It's kind of like when you're dating or when you want to date women, and you can relate this to when you're a teenager. You see that pretty girl that you like, and you're like, man, should I go talk to her or not, right? That's that fear holding you back, and it's the fear of being rejected,
yeah.
right? Being rejected. And next thing you know, you go talk to the girl, and she opens up, and she says, "Hi, thank you for coming," or whatever. And you're like, man.
Or thanks for asking me to dance, because, sometimes, like pretty girls, guys are so afraid.
They're afraid of them.
That they never get to dance, and
yeah,
we hear that all the time.
So don't be afraid. Just go take the leap. What's the worst they can say?
No.
Okay, turn around, go get the next one.
It's just a two-letter word that it's not gonna kill
and think
you.
about it. Fear is only 4 letters. 4. Do not let a 4-letter word hold you back. With that being said, ladies and gents,
Thanks for listening or watching us, depending if you're on YouTube or podcast. And we'll be here next week. Please remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Go to YouTube and click the subscribe button. Share it with your friends and family. Leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google. And with that, this is Dennis Rodriguez and Ricardo Rosales saying bye until next week. RenovatingRiches.com.
Renovating Riches Radio.
Oh, you got me. In Spanish, renovandoriquezas.com. Okay.
The problem with Dennis is he's Puerto Rican, so he thinks in Spanish.
I've been living in this country 6 years, and I still sometimes have to translate constantly, but
So,
I'm getting better.
renovatingrichesradio.com. That's your channel. renovandoriquezas.com. Dale, hit subscribe and share. You'll have a great day. Bye.